There's a kind of silence that hits you different when you've been gone a long time, like the whole world moved on while you were busy trying not to get shot. I came home expecting tears, hugs, maybe a warm dinner and a good night in my own bed. Instead, I stepped into a house that didn't feel like mine anymore. And my wife? She smiled like nothing was wrong, but everything in me said otherwise. Now I ain't the paranoid type, but something was off. And it wasn't just the new sheets. I just got back from a 12-month deployment. Army's been my life since I was 19. Tours in the Middle East, a couple close calls, more sand in my boots than I'll ever shake out. But none of that messed with my head like what I came home to. My wife, Tina, and I got hitched about 6 years back. Met her at a diner just outside Fort Bragg. She was sassy, sharp, and could pour coffee without looking while chewing out a trucker for not tipping. I liked her immediately. She liked the uniform. Guess we both got what we wanted. At first, she was all in. Letters with lipstick kisses, phone sex during chow breaks, even once mailed me a pair of her panties with a note that just said, "Miss me yet?" Yeah, she had a way of keeping my attention, even from thousands of miles away. But this last deployment? Something felt different. Tina still sent messages, but they started sounding generic. Like she was copy-pasting. "Miss you, babe," in between gym selfies and girls' night pics. Her tone changed. Used to be playful, excited. Now she just seemed distracted. Like I was a chore. It started with the little things. She missed a few of my calls, said her phone was glitchy. Okay, fine. Then came the excuses. "My battery's dead, Wi-Fi's acting up, just got out of the shower, can't talk long." Once or twice, she answered and hung up real quick, like she wasn't alone. I caught a glimpse of what looked like a man's leg in basketball shorts behind her before the screen went black. When I asked about it, she laughed and said, "That's my cousin Derek. He's crashing here for a bit." Funny thing is, I'd never heard of a cousin Derek. And I've met most of her family, loud, proud Alabama folks who love gossip and don't shut up about it. Derek never came up once in 6 years of backyard BBQs and Christmas dinners. So I asked her, "What's he doing in town?" She says, "He's going through a breakup, needed a place to stay." That answer tasted like expired milk. Still, I didn't press it too hard. I wanted to believe her. I'd spent months in the middle of nowhere, eating powdered eggs and MREs. The thought of Tina waiting back home was one of the few things that kept me grounded. I needed it to be true. But the inconsistencies piled up. One night, she told me she was out with her friend Jessica at a comedy club. Cool. Next call, she says she was with Mandy at a wine bar, same night. When I asked which it was, she snapped, said I was interrogating her like a damn suspect. Which, in hindsight, maybe I should have done sooner. I started jotting things down. Notes, dates, weird moments. Like some dumbass trying to solve a mystery he didn't want the answer to. But something in me kept saying, "Chuck, this ain't right." Then came the silence. Last few weeks before I came home, she all but ghosted me. One-word replies. K. Busy. Tired. The same woman who once sent me a 3-page letter detailing how she wanted to jump my bones on the kitchen counter, now couldn't even be bothered to say, "I love you." I told myself she was stressed. Holding down a job, house stuff, life in general, sure, it can get overwhelming. I tried not to read into it. But that feeling in my gut? It wouldn't shut up. When my boots hit U.S. soil, I felt a mix of relief and dread I can't even explain. It's like I already knew something was waiting for me, and not in the good way. She wasn't at the airport. Texted me last minute, said her car broke down. Left me standing at baggage claim like some green recruit waiting on orders that never come. So I caught a ride home with a buddy, guy named Lou, fellow vet who's been through his share of mess. He gave me a look like he knew, but didn't say a word. Just dropped me off and nodded. "Call me if you need anything." The porch light was off. The wind chimes were still. House looked the same, but it felt hollow. Like it had been emptied out and filled with someone else's life. I walked in and right away something hit me, A scent I didn't recognize. Some kind of cologne, musky and sharp, like the kind of stuff a college guy would drown himself in before heading to the bar. Not mine, that's for damn sure. I've worn Old Spice since basic. The couch pillows were new. So were the curtains. Tina never changed stuff without texting me 17 pictures and asking for an opinion I didn't even know I had. But this time? Whole living room looked like a stranger lived there. Then I went into the bedroom. Black satin sheets. Now let me be clear, my wife hated satin sheets. Said they were cheap and sleazy. Her words, not mine. We always had cozy flannel or that floral cotton crap she liked. So seeing a full black satin setup? That was like walking into a hotel room, one you didn't book, and sure as hell didn't belong in. And the bed smelled different. I stood there a long time, just taking it in. The sheets. The scent. The silence. And Tina still wasn't home. When she finally walked in a couple hours later, she was all dressed up, tight jeans, hair done, makeup flawless, heels clicking like she just came from some swanky downtown spot. She looked at me, surprised. Oh. Hey, babe. Didn't think you'd be back this early. Early? I'd been gone a year. She gave me a kiss on the cheek, quick, dry, like she was kissing a coworker. Then she went straight to the kitchen and started pouring wine like nothing was wrong. No tears. No hugs. No. Thank God you're safe. Just silence, and red wine. I smiled. Told her it was good to be home. But in my head, I knew I wasn't staying long. I didn't sleep that first night back. Tina passed out like nothing happened, curled up under those damn satin sheets like she'd been sleeping just fine without me for months. I laid there staring at the ceiling, listening to the whir of the ceiling fan and the sound of my own heartbeat pounding like a war drum. I wasn't mad yet. I was still in that weird place between suspicion and denial, where you're hoping you're wrong but bracing like hell in case you ain't. Next morning, she acted like the perfect housewife. Made pancakes, blueberry my favorite, which she never does. Poured my coffee without me asking. Sat across the table smiling like she wasn't keeping secrets under those fake lashes and drugstore lip gloss. So, she said, twirling her spoon in her mug. How was it over there? Hot. Loud? I said. Missed you. She smiled, but it didn't touch her eyes. I miss you too, babe. I asked her how work had been, if her mom was still having knee problems, just normal stuff. She gave me short answers. Mumbled something about changing shifts, her boss being a perv, and how she'd had to deal with a lot lately. I asked if Derek was still around. She blinked. Who? Your cousin? The one who was staying here. Oh. Nah. He left a few weeks ago. Funny, no mention of that in any of her messages. No. Derek says bye. Or, thank God he's gone. Nothing. That's when I started paying real close attention. I went through the house while she was at yoga later that day. Found a receipt in the kitchen trash from a steakhouse across town, 2 entrees, 2 cocktails, dated 2 weeks ago. She told me she was sick that night. Said she ordered takeout and stayed in with Netflix. Bathroom trash had 2 used condoms in it. Now, here's the kicker, me and Tina? We haven't used condoms in over 5 years. She's been on the pill since 2018. Said she hated the way latex felt and didn't trust rubber, anyway. So tell me why there are Trojans in my bathroom trash? She got home that night all bubbly, asked if I wanted to watch Yellowstone together. I said sure, trying to act normal, but inside my blood was starting to boil. I told myself not to explode. Not yet. I needed more. So I started doing recon. I checked her phone the next time she left it unattended. Took me all of 3 minutes to realize she had a hidden app, one of those calculator-looking things. Inside were dozens of messages to some guy named Ray. Stuff like, last night was insane. My thighs are still sore lol. Don't forget to bring wine tonight. He's still overseas till next month. I wish I could wake up next to you every morning. Ray. Never heard of him. No mention. No slip-ups in casual convo. Whoever this clown was, he'd been in the shadows. But she'd gotten sloppy. There were selfies too. Her in lingerie I'd never seen before. Her in our bed, lying on my pillow, wearing a smug little smile like she was proud of herself. I felt like I'd been gut-punched. But still, I didn't say a word. I wanted to see how far she'd go. Wanted her to really dig that hole. So I started setting little traps. One day I asked her, "Hey, didn't you say you were out with Mandy last Friday?" She nodded. "Yeah, why?" I showed her the receipt I found. Her eyes twitched. Just for a second. "Oh, that night?" No, that was Thursday. That receipt says Friday." She grabbed it and laughed, too loud. "Oh. I meant the week before. You know me, I'm always getting days mixed up." Then she kissed me on the cheek and said she was going to get her nails done. Said I should relax, take a nap or something. I told her I would. The moment she left, I checked her location history on the tablet she forgot was still synced to her phone. Guess where she'd been for the past 3 Thursday and Friday nights? Ray's address. Found it in her saved contacts. Guy lived 15 minutes away. Single. Worked construction. I googled him. Bald, tatted up, big as a linebacker. Looked like the type who thinks Monster Energy is a personality trait. And she was sneaking off to him while I was out there getting shot at for a country she was using as an excuse to play house with a walking muscle cramp. The emotional hit came hard after that. There's a special kind of heartbreak when the person you trusted with your whole damn heart turns out to be a professional liar. I felt like I didn't even know who she was anymore. I'd played every reel of our relationship in my head, every holiday, every fight, every little moment I thought meant something. Now I couldn't tell which parts were real and which were just smoke. And the worst part? I still loved her. Even after all that. Even with the lies. That's the part that messes with you. You start to question yourself. Like maybe you were the fool for believing any of it. Maybe you deserved it for being gone too long, or trusting too easy. But deep down, I knew better. I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I kept my vows. She didn't. And I was gonna get the truth. One way or another. It happened 3 days later. I was sitting on the back porch, drinking a beer and watching the sun go down like I'd done 1,000 times before. Except this time, I was waiting. Tina had told me she was going out for drinks with Jessica. Again. That woman's had more girls' nights in the last 2 months than a bachelorette party on tour. But this time, I knew better. See, I'd gone by Ray's place earlier that day. Just parked down the street in a borrowed truck with tinted windows and waited. And wouldn't you know it, she pulled up in my car, wearing a low-cut top and that same damn smirk she gives when she thinks she's getting away with something. I didn't follow her in. I didn't cause a scene. I just watched. Took a photo with my phone. Drove off. That night I set the trap. Told her I had to head out early in the morning to meet with some vets at a job site, wouldn't be back until the following evening. Made up some crap about an early start and overnight planning, something she'd believe but wouldn't care to remember. She nodded, barely looking up from her phone. Cool, babe. Be safe. So I packed a bag, left it in the truck, kissed her on the forehead, and drove 5 minutes down the road. Parked in an alley behind the gas station and waited. Slept in the truck like I was back on deployment, one eye open. Then, just before sunrise, I crept back up to the house. The garage door was cracked. Our bedroom window was open. And there it was, plain as day, his damn truck in my driveway. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it'd give me away before I even got to the door. But I kept quiet. Steady. Moved like I'd been trained, low and slow. The front door was unlocked. I stepped inside, careful not to make a sound. House smelled like sex and cheap cologne. The kind that burns your nose and sticks to your clothes for days. Her heels were tossed by the couch. A man's hoodie was on the floor. Not mine. I stood there for a second, in that silence, just breathing. Then I walked to the bedroom. There they were. Tina, naked and tangled up in the sheets, my sheets, the ones I paid for, her back to the door. And Ray, sprawled beside her, snoring like a damn chainsaw. One arm draped across her like he owned the place. I didn't yell. Didn't swing. Didn't go full Jerry Springer like part of me wanted to. Instead, I turned on the light. Bright. Blinding. Immediate chaos. Tina blinked, squinted, then shot up with a gasp. Chuck? Ray rolled over, groggy. Took one look at me and damn near fell out of the bed. What the F? I held up my phone, showing them the photo from earlier in the week. Smile, I said. You're both real photogenic. Tina scrambled for the sheet, clutching it to her chest like modesty was gonna save her now. I thought you were out of town. Yeah, I said, calm as a lake in winter. That's what you said? Funny how that works. Ray muttered something, tried to grab his jeans, but I stopped him with a look. Just shook my head. You, I said, pointing at him. Better get out of my house before I remember all the shit I learned overseas. He didn't argue. Just grabbed his pants and shoes, stumbling half-naked out the door. I watched him go, then turned back to Tina, who was crying now, the kind of cry that's more about being caught than being sorry. I can explain, she choked. You already did, I said. Every message. Every lie. Every time you looked me in the face and said I love you. That was the explanation. She begged. Said it didn't mean anything. Said she was lonely. Said it was a mistake. A mistake, I repeated. Nah. A mistake is forgetting to text back. This was a damn decision. Over and over. She tried to touch me. I stepped back. And right then, it hit me. I didn't feel sad anymore. Or mad. Just tired. Like something heavy had finally slid off my shoulders, and I could finally stand up straight. I grabbed my bag. Took one last look around the room, the wreckage of our so-called marriage, then turned to her. You don't love me, I said. You just love not being alone. She didn't answer. I walked out the front door, called my buddy Lou, and told him I'd be crashing on his couch for a few days. He didn't ask questions. Just said, knew it was coming. I filed for divorce that week. Left her the house, the car, the furniture. Didn't want a damn thing that had her stink on it. It's been a few months now. I'm back on my feet. Got a new apartment. Working construction with some old army pals. Joined a gym, started sleeping better. Even picked up fishing again. You know what I learned? Sometimes the war doesn't stop when you leave the battlefield. Sometimes it follows you home and puts on a pretty face. But the good news is, you survive that too. And to anyone out there going through something like this? Trust your gut. Always. And don't ever let someone make you feel crazy for asking questions they're scared to answer.